it's gonna get ugly, there's just ain't no two ways about it.
And one thing Harold did that I'm thankful of is that he did not opt to go into the state
Yeah.
pension plan. And so we don't have that burden with
Well,
the council. And
That was one of
this
the
is-
things we were somewhat excited about, because in the one that got approved and then struck down, there were some options in there for what they call special taxing districts, which is your library and other places like that they could have gotten out of the state's plan and got their own plan. But that didn't go through, obviously, so. But we were kind of excited about that. We're looking at some options for the library and some other clients that we have that are taxing districts that are, saying, what are we gonna do? I said, don't know. I
And
don't
what's
have
sad
any-
about this is, the markets are in really strong position right now. If we haven't turned in the markets, financial markets, that's when it's gonna get really bad.
Yeah, well, it's gonna get bad once they decide how they're gonna have to start funding this. I mean, some point in time, they have to decide how they're gonna fund this thing.
Yeah.
And if they go back to all the different places and say, hey, you gotta come up with your portion of it, like I said, a lot of them just wind up filing bankruptcy. They don't have any other choice. I mean,
Because this last budget that they had, no money was put in there for the health insurance. None
None.
whatsoever. So, I mean, so.
And we all know how fast healthcare costs are
Right,
going up.
yeah,
Yeah, that's getting to be almost as big a number as the pension plan.
right.
And the pension
Because-
plan's now right at $5 billion.
Mhm.
My son worked for the teacher's retirement plan in Frankfurt last year. They $19 billion invested. They managed $2 billion in Frankfurt, 17 is outsourced.
Yeah,
And, it's complex.
it is, it's very complex. But, yeah, Ben's right, I mean, we've got a couple of other city governments that we did that opted out of it years ago, and they're the same way, they're just very thankful that they're not in the plan. So,
So,
anyway, I can talk about that all night long.
yeah, I know. We have a meeting on, Wednesday, Louis City's board does, and that's the number one issue is the pension
Yeah.
and health insurance, so.
Well, they're requiring us to put those amounts on the financial statements.
Right,
So, you wanna get an idea what it looks like, walk over across the street and ask Janet to see her audit report, and you'll see unfunded pension cost and unfunded health insurance cost, and it's well over $1 million.
And any city that's in the state pension plan will have the same scenario.
Everybody that's in the state pension plan's got that issue. City, we do some school boards all have it. They all do.
they do. Right now, unless anybody has any questions for, Mr. Klein, I would like to entertain a motion that we accept the audit.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, second. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimous, and we thank you for your service and.
You have a check for it?
Yes, right, shake your hand and give you that check. But nobody's gonna make it, well, it's on, video that. So.
Well, at least we know it was up front, so it wasn't under the table,
Yeah. And if you lose it, I've got proof I gave it to
I
you.
understand
With
that,
all
so.
these people.
Again,
around
folks,
here.
it's a pleasure. We'll be back hopefully a little bit earlier next year, and look forward to seeing all of y'all then. And like I said, please feel to call me anytime.
All right, Al mentioned to us that our 5-year contract has, this is the last year of that contract, and subject to your all's wishes, we have been very pleased with our audit for the last 5 years, and we would like to continue that. So he's gonna be working up a proposal for another 5 years and what the cost would be each year, so like we did last time. So
Right.
we'll deal with that in.
Yeah, we actually got next year, but we'll get it up in advance, so don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah, we got one more year,
Right.
under 5.
Right.
So, anyway,
But we'll get it
He's gonna
addressed, so
get a
you don't
proposal
have to,
too.
it's one thing you can take off your list and say, it's done, don't have to
I
worry
know,
about it.
I know. Thank you.
You're covered for the rest of your term.
Yeah, yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Al.
All right, Ben, good luck on,
Retire.
your new job.
Yep. Yeah, her name's Sharon, and so far, so good.
Yeah,
Thank you. Safe travels.
I will. And there's some extra copies of the report right here, there.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
I
Thank
know
you.
you need them sometimes for grants and other things. And like I said, I
Right.
know, one's already been sent to the bond company, so they should be taken care
Oh,
of.
okay, good deal, thank you.
Be careful going on.
I will.
Okay, Police Chief Darren Harvey.
Well, I've talked to a few of you, and I've worked with Jan, me and Benny worked on it last week. I've got an issue with mold, it's pretty bad in the PD, especially on the, east wall, all alongside, and also on the south wall. I'll let Benny go into detail, come in contact with a mold mediation company, and they came in and met with us on Friday, and I'll let him tell you what they decided.
Just to give you a little bit of history, we thought we had fixed the building and we were in good shape. We decided to go with some gas, I think they're gas, aren't they? Wall heaters that were mounted in the wall. When the boiler went out a few years ago, we had to start looking for alternative heat. And when you look at that building, it's a WPA building and it's 12-inch concrete. And to drill a hole in it is a monumental task. Burn up several bits to get through that. And so we were trying to figure out a way to do that, since a boiler and the heaters that, the radiators for that, well, there's a little tiny hole, and we didn't think we could do a ductwork system. And so we went to the gas heaters because they were cold in the winter months. And then to help with that even, we decided to go, and you all approved, the council approved, putting in new windows on the first floor, which are thermal pane tight and all of that. Problem solved until this winter. And what's happened is that we've made the building so tight that in extreme cold weather, with the warm inside, the building is sweating. In other words, the building can't breathe. And I never thought about that. Nobody ever advised us of that. So we got a problem with mold and condensation inside, and it's because the building is so tight. Well, we're not gonna get rid of the windows, so we've had to back up and say, okay, what can we do? And first of all, we need to deal with what mold is there.
Right.
And so I called Norm Lay, who was the main guy for Codell over at the courthouse construction, and I knew he had been involved in that mold remediation in years past, and Mike knew of a company that could give us a decent price and not take us to the cleaners, getting rid of the mold. And Norman said, yes, I have somebody that's worked for me. In fact, they've done buildings in Louisville for me. And he said the good part of it is they're located in Muhlenberg County. And they are licensed, they're certified, they know what they're doing, and said being in your county will help keep the cost down. We met with him last week, Darren and I did, while Jan was out of town. He went through the building and we discussed what needed to be done. We basically decided that we need to remove the paneling on the interior of the wall to expose that concrete so that we don't have mold behind the paneling. And he's gonna take care of that by putting up the plastic in different rooms and getting rid of all of that. We're not gonna go back with paneling because we want it to be able to keep dry in the winter months. And so he's given us a quote of taking care of that for all the rooms that are involved of about $10,671. That's for the remediation. That includes debris removal and hauling it off. We're not gonna go back with that, so at some point, we'll be painting it, the concrete walls and all of that. That doesn't take care of the breathing of the building, but it does take care of the mold issue. And that being said, we then started saying, okay, how do we provide heat with those kind of thick floors and concrete? And we decided that perhaps we could come through a window and put the ductwork in the building exposed at the ceiling height, but exposed, not concealed. And to follow our procurement policy, we wanted to get 3 bids for that. In addition to that, we feel like there may be, the roof that was done a few years ago may have some leaking problems, because there's one corner in the back southeast corner, and there's a corner up in the northwest corner that we think there's some water getting in off of that flat roof, even though we had it redone a few years ago. And so we've asked, I know the one that did this roof was Jan's son. Obviously, we're gonna need to get 3 bids, But before we get those, we wanted him to come and evaluate to what extent do we need to work on that building. Is just some small areas and maybe a flashing at the gutter on the backside to keep it from coming back under the roof, which we think might be happening too. If you look on the wall back there outside, you'll see some staining on that stone, which tells us it's not getting into the gutter. So we want him to come and evaluate that. Once he decides what needs to be done, then we'll get 3 bids, probably his company, along with 2 others, to give us a price on fixing the roof. So that's a separate matter, and we have not even begun to get bids on that. Don't think it'll be a lot, but at this point, it's a unknown. But as far as the heating part of the building, we, after meeting with one contractor, decided that we can do ductwork and expose it, like I said, and bring in the plumbing or the lines in through a window where the evidence room is now. And then we can, if we don't have them already painted black, and then we paint the ceilings to make it look more cosmetically attractive. And so we've asked 3 different companies to give us prices on that. One is WR Services, which is, and this one's electric heat.
That's solid electric, that's not gas.
That's electric. $16,800 for his bid to take care of the entire building. The other 2 are gas heat, which we're kind of leaning toward because we think that's not a heat pump kind of situation, which a lot of times it says it's warm, but you don't feel warm with a heat pump. And one is Bowles, and his bid was $17,100. And Amos Services, or Amos, and they've given us a price of $20,000. These 2 are gas, and WR is electric. And guess what, if you start mentally making some calculations here, remediation's gonna be about roughly 10 or 11, and then we're gonna be looking somewhere in the neighborhood of around 17, so 27, 28, and then whatever the roof is. My guess is we're probably looking, and then we need to paint interior after we take all that paneling off. So we're probably looking somewhere around 35 is a guesstimate on our part. But we need to go ahead and begin to work on that immediately, even though we don't have all of the roofing's not priced yet. And of course, we can go ahead with remediation, and then we can make a decision on which might be the best way for us to go as far as heat. But we're wanting you, without us having all the bids in yet, to kind of give us an authorization to go ahead and fix the problem over there, hopefully for several decades now.
On the repair though, once it's tore out, there will be some interior walls that has to be addressed where the paneling will be taken out. But on the exterior walls, we plan on just leaving it concrete.
And painting.
Right,
So-
and also the ceilings.
And so with that being said, we don't have complete prices, but we don't want to sit on this and let these guys be breathing with mold in the air. And so we're wanting to get on that right away and get that fixed for them. And so we're asking you all, and that's not in the budget, so know that as you look at budget reports, that'll be impacted by it, but it's not something we can wait till next year for. We need to go ahead and get started on that because they're in there.
Make a motion.
A motion
So Marcus,
authorizing us to spend whatever's necessary and take the lowest and best price.
I
That
don't think the
sound,
lowest,
Huh?
I don't think the lowest,
and best
the best.
combined.
The best, right.
And probably gas, like you're right on that.
Mhm.
Marcus, and who was second?
Slide second.
I think Amos did pretty good. Terry Amos did good.
The difference between Gary Bowles and Amos is gonna come in and put all new ductwork in. Gary Bowles come in today and done a air pressure test on the existing system on my side of the building, on the old
Which had
ductwork, and he said it was sufficient. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That's the reason Gary Bowles is a little bit cheaper, but it's also not as much, he could get in there and find problems with the existing ductwork. So, I'd say it's up to you all on what you decide, and but
I'd
that's
say
what-
mayor and chief can, and perhaps a city administrator.
well, as far as they're getting close to the 20,000, so I believe the council should make the decision on the contractor on the heating and air.
But you're
personally.
getting new ductwork with the higher bid.
With the 20,000, yes.
Well, he just put a $8,000 cooler in my walk-in cooler in down in there, and it is fantastic. He did a wonderful job.
Who did that?
Amos.
I ain't saying nothing about those, I mean, I'm just thinking,
I
you know,
mean, he
if- like you
just
said,
did
if
what he said he was gonna do.
Right,
It was
that's
gonna
right.
be there,
It's
and
pretty good.
How long is that existing ductwork?
it's
Been in there,
perfect.
It was early 80s when it was put in.
It'd be
I'd say
20,
few
30,
Lord,
30,
you
40
got
years.
some,
50,000's
you
well
got
worth.
some of them old critters on her hair blowing through some.
Don't tell them what's living in the existing.
Yeah.
Don't tell them what germs you're getting out of their pants.
So what you may want to do is to vote on the remediation. We did not get 3 bids there, but I know the others are gonna be higher because they're from out of the county and probably halfway across the state.
We need to keep this county rolling.
But that's something that needs to be, that's kind of an emergency right there because of the environment they're in right now. We've had some some sinus problems in.
We've had 4 people out this winter with respiratory issues. But
So
the
that
mold
one
didn't
needs to be
expose
dealt with
itself to
immediately.
just like the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Do we need individual?
We might, the chief may be
So we
right,
have a
because of
mo-
the
yeah.
dollar amount, we might want.
We
to.
have a motion on the floor to, do remediation work at the discretion of the mayor, administrator, chief. But with it being almost to the 20,000, we probably should have a motion for the company
On the HVAC,
on the
yes.
HVAC. So we'll vote on
Remediation.
remediation first. So we have a motion by Marcus, a second by Sly, and any more discussion before we vote on that? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, now, so what are your, so who do I hear you all want to do the work?
I think Terry would make a good one, I'm just be my personal opinion, but I might be wrong, but I say Terry.
Yeah, with the age
Consider
of
getting new
ductwork.
ductwork.
New
Yeah.
ductwork, I think you just,
If we're up to 20,000, are we gonna put out a bid for that?
I'm sorry?
I mean, now that
We
the
did.
job is up, well, we didn't, it's not a sealed bid,
Oh.
it's not a sealed bid request.
If it went to 20,000, it's $19,989.
No, no.
No, it's actually 20,000.
20,000 on the button.
20,000.
Does it have to
Be over 20,000?
over, which has been up to?
You can take $1 off.
We'll take a
I
dollar.
think it is up to,
I'd take $100 off.
I mean, new ductwork, I think.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's up to, but we can.
Maybe
check
it's
it out.
But if it's an emergency
Well, the
situation,
remediation
can
is
we
on
go
my
ahead and,
I think, I mean, if you,
Nobody's sick.
we got the 3 bids, we think we're up to, it's right on the nose, so I think we're okay.
To the penny.
Yeah,
It's
it's
okay.
right on the nose.
so, I ask the council for a motion for who you would like to do this work?
I say Terry, Terry thinks.
Okay, so I have a motion that, Amos do the work, the HVAC work. Do I have a second? Okay, Ruthie seconds. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, all right.
And as far as the roof's concerned, we don't know where we're gonna go with that yet because we don't know what the extent of work needs to be to get bids from 3 companies, but we will do that. And because it too, it needs to be stopped immediately, as you can tell from the rain that we're having. And I think they're coming next week to evaluate what the bids need to be, but if we could just get your consent or authorization to the lowest and best bid, once we know what the bid's gonna entail, to give us permission to go ahead and get that going, because that probably needs to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah. So, they might be here Wednesday, if, it's supposed to be pretty Wednesday if they can get here. So, we'll see there. Okay. Anything else?
On the roof,
Have we got consent, I guess is what I need to know.
Yeah, we voted on that.
On consent for the roof?
Oh, consent for the roof, I thought we were.
If that's just consent, yeah, consensus. I'm good.
Okay.
Should they do anything temporary to that in the meantime?
if need be.
Me and Benny walked around the other day, I only saw 2 places, and that was a problem on the roof. Is that not what you saw?
That appears to be the,
I think the majority of the roof is gonna be fine, I just think we've got
Yeah.
a couple areas we need to.
actually 2 places we're suspecting from looking on the second floor, and the flashing maybe all the way across the
Probably so.
gutter in the back of the building, because it looks like it's not getting into the gutter. And if it's working its way back into that, inside of that wall, then that would be putting it inside the building. So we don't know until we see about the flashing. Okay,
Okay,
by consent.
anything else? Okay, Chief Jerry.
Well, I apologize for not having my end of the month report. I didn't find out we're having a meeting until about 3:30 today, so I'll catch it next month. But, we've
still
been
be
busy.
here.
We've had, city, county runs. We've had 122, I think, already this year. Emergency runs, wrecks, and some structure fires. We were able to help one homeless person a couple of weeks ago when we had the single-digit weather. And, when I came over and talked to Jan that morning about that, about opening that up, and that's the first time we've ever done that. And we got really good response on Facebook, so I was really glad that we were able to do that.
And where'd you open up at?
What was it?
I'm sorry,
Where did you open up at?
the fire
Your
department
The
building.
fire
upstairs.
department, yeah.
We set up some military cots and, brought in some food and,
I
like I
called
said,
to
we had
bring
one
food.
gentleman stayed 2 nights with us, and, was able to secure a motel room through the church at Central City, for the next night. So, we did our part, and if we have another bad weather, we'll do it again.
No, but we did, I think Facebook, we really had a good response from there, so a lot of people,
Like I said, that's the first time we've ever done that, and,
I
I
thought it was
mean,
nice.
back years ago,
called
when we
to
were in
bring
the
food
police
up here if
department,
there was
where they're
anything.
at now, if the wind got up, we had everybody from North Park Village up there, so, but, anyway, it turned out real well.
yeah, thanks for doing that, appreciate it. Anything else?
No, we did, manage to accomplish cleaning up that mess that, down by Second Baptist Church.
Okay, how about your men? Are you still in
I'm
the?
still one person short, and,
Okay,
Did you get the one you wanted?
do
Ricky King's son-in-law? Why?
because he has about 13 years invested into the state system. And, he's trying to hold on over there. He's working part-time, but I don't think he's gonna be able to come full-time.
I thought we were
So
gonna
I'm
get
still
him.
one short. And I'd like to have him, but I
have you got
understand.
any possibilities out there, or is anybody?
We got a call the other day from somebody, but they didn't want an application, so, or
Okay,
they wanted to know how to get an application, and, so that's where we're at. But
okay,
we're working.
okay.
I got a question, we'll go back to Darren, what about these coyotes?
That's, I talked to Kerry about that today.
I did too, that was what I had under
I've got,
new business.
I've got it, I've been in touch with Nathan because I've seen it on Facebook. That I talked to Frank Williams. Frank Williams, the engineer, was on Fish and Wildlife, the state committee. And he said there is a group of people that you can call the State Department and you can get them to come down and they will speak to people. Or you also, on the Fish and Wildlife page, you can look and there are, people that trap. And we can set traps and we can have them come and they'll set traps and they'll catch them for us.
They're not gonna kill 'em.
But under state law, if an animal or a pet, not an animal, if a pet or a person is being threatened by such coyote, you have a right to defend yourself or your pet. Other than that, we do have an ordinance against discharging firearms in the city limits. Me and Kerry talked today about maybe eventually addressing this issue to where we can not be so restrictive.
With exceptions.
I had Brandon Bays called me. He saw us talking to some people about, they were texting me, and he said he has the right, he works for the something, he has the right to do that. He
He's
has
a
the right-
nuisance.
He's a
Yeah,
nuisance.
nuisance,
He says
yeah,
he can
that's-
come in here and trap, not kill.
Yeah, trap.
And move them. And Luke Browning was gonna be working with him, of trapping the coyotes. But Maple Drive, and over there where we live, is beginning to really get bad over in our neighborhood. It's really bad, and they're coming from Counselor's out behind Evergreen Cemetery.
Right.
They're coming across that way about Counselor's Pond and coming across, up behind, Mark and Kathy Wagner's house, and then they're coming straight over to ours. I mean, they were standing in the front yard. They're just waiting for, I don't know.
A couple of weeks ago, there was one in the back parking lot of the police department.
I know.
I don't know, I guess he come from Nature Parkway,
Yeah.
but he was crossing over
But he
right
said,
there.
we're not gonna kill them. I said, well, you know, that's the first thing, we don't wanna get out that we're gonna kill them all. But
Yeah.
some of
And the
them,
thing of it is like when you do the trapping, you know, this, you risk maybe getting somebody's pet.
Right.
You know, so that, you know, so
Yeah.
that's the, you know, so, but that's a risk I think we're gonna have to take.
nobody's kids, you know,
Yeah.
nobody's putting their pets out really right now anyway.
Right, right.
And if they do, that's just,
I just recently read an article about these coyotes, and right now they're in their mating period. And they warn people about letting your dogs out,
yeah, you can.
your cats outside, because they are a little bit more aggressive during that time.
Just out of curiosity towards people, would they need to be provoked? I mean, like if somebody's just out walking?
Most coyotes, from what I've
They'd
read,
be
has
more
a
scared of
flight
us.
mentality, unless they're cornered
Yeah.
and,
Or sick.
or hungry. If they're hungry, if they see a small animal, they'll also go after that. But, I worry about small kids too.
Yeah, yeah.
And they killed our
The
deer.
two,
How big
his
are-
backyard's fixing to be shot.
How big are they
One of them.
generally? I mean, how?
They're just,
They're this big.
yeah, they can get up
Dang.
They're
maybe
that high.
55
just
pounds.
below the size of a German Shepherd, maybe.
Mhm.
Dang. And plenty fast, I'm sure.
Yeah.
David Hunt over there by Brittany, he's gonna get two because one of them is ragged, he's bad looking and he's growling and everything. He's coming right up in their backyard.
Yeah, I've seen his pictures.
Yeah,
Things
and that's
outside his
awful,
kitchen
wasn't it?
window.
It
Yeah.
was terrible.
So we're gonna implement some kind of plan here to trap them, is that what
Right,
we're talking
right.
about then?
Mhm.
I think that's,
She said he would come to a city council meeting or have a special meeting for you to talk to all of us to hear what he has to say.
Is he the one that catches them and then
Uh-huh.
releases them somewhere
Releases
else?
them.
Well,
Yeah, he'll
it'd be good to
relocate
get him to schedule to come in and see the mayor,
Yeah.
and then she can evaluate what
Yeah.
we do.
I can tell him to call you.
As
Yeah,
far
have
as-
him call me.
As far as setting out traps, do they have to have, like if it's in a neighborhood, do they have to have consent?
Yeah, they'll tell you where they're gonna be.
Several,
They make some live traps that are just big cages that, I mean, if you catch somebody's dog,
You can set live traps out, that's no problem with that, but if it's, you catch somebody's pet, just let it go. But,
But it's more of a cage, not a steel trap that would kill.
So, yeah, just have him call me and we'll, see. And then, you know, because nobody, I've just seen on Facebook, Nathan's been in touch with me, Marcus has been in touch with me about it. I sent Nathan a text about it, and I tried to copy it, but my technology skills sometimes, and I tried it 2 or 3 times, and I never got the information to you, so.
Oh, you had mentioned something about, yeah.
Yeah, that I had,
Said-
so anyway, but just have him call me and we'll, and nobody has called the city about it.
They're just telling all of us.
Yeah.
I've had a few
Just
people
the same
call the
house.
police
Have
department.
you had a,
It's the same as.
Yeah, same ass, yeah.
but anyway, but, you know, we will, you know,